the recording. Please don't let me forget at the end to finish the recording, because otherwise it'll keep going and going and going. And then once we get on the internet a little bit later, once I get through my presentation here, I'm going to get on the internet and I'll show you where you can go find this once it gets posted. First off, that's me. I have a business partner, Pete Losey, myself. We have Empower Mac and EmpowerMac.com. I came up with that name just simply because that's what we try to do. We try to empower people to get more out of their Macs and now, of course, their iOS devices. I've thrown together a quick little keynote, which, by the way, I can present it from my iPhone or my iPad, just like it is here. Your iPhone and your iPad can present any keynote documents. You can do your pages and things like that. So just simply, have we been there? Well, this would be more the PC group, right? This wouldn't necessarily be our Mac group as much, but I'm finding that this is the issue now when we have password situations. So I'm going to cover passwords later because it's password hell many times, and I think you guys have all experienced it. I've been lucky enough to kind of avoid it, but I'm sure that the Armageddon is coming. And this would be the other thing that might be appropriate here. So anyway, oops, I skipped one. That's what I do. I'm kind of the Mac doctor. So I'm going to talk first about the iCloud, because there's some misconceptions and there's some fear of the iCloud. Everyone here gets email. You've been getting email from the cloud for a long time. It's just this computer that's somewhere else, whether you have Rogers or Telus or Comcast or Verizon, they keep your mail on a server. And your devices go and check that mail and server. That's no more complex than what the cloud really is. Apple calls theirs the iCloud, and it's the thank goodness replacement to the old Mobile Me. Who were Mobile Me users? Okay. Steve Jobs' last keynote before he passed away, he said, Mobile Me was not our finest hour. And I think some heads must have rolled. It was a great idea. It was a bit ahead of its time. But they just couldn't implement it. I mean, Apple wasn't really, they just didn't have the resources. They had the money, they just didn't have the people and resources. And by the way, there's a great video of Steve Jobs back in 1987. And he basically predicted what the cloud, back then. And you got to remember, back then the internet was not really in much existence. And he predicted what the iCloud was going to be. And the iCloud, if it works correctly, it works behind the scenes and you don't know it. It's just a place to store your stuff and make it available on all your devices. So now the lady kicking the computer can now be the nice lady up in the cloud that helps you out. iTunes in the cloud we won't talk about much, but what that means is iTunes is up there. If we have limited space on our devices. So if you have a lot of music or things, you don't have to have it all on here. You can take it off, get it again. You don't have to repurchase it. Once you've purchased anything, you can get it back down. If you have movies take up quite a bit of room. So you can bring the movie back down, take it on, take it off. It's stored up there for you in your locker in the cloud. Okay, and that's iTunes in the cloud.
Excuse me.
Yes.
How long is it stored up there?
A good question. How long is it stored up there? And I always repeat the question so the recording will get it too. In iTunes, it is up there forever as long as the artist or the piece of video is still available on iTunes in general. If it was, say, the Beatles, and they decided to pull themselves from iTunes. It took a long time for them to get into iTunes, but now that they're in iTunes, if they take a song off, you would no longer be able to go get it. But for most of us, we've backed it up on our computer if you sync your device. But other than that, the stuff that goes in the cloud is there till you delete it.
Including photographs?
A little different. I'll get into PhotoStream. Don't let me forget to get into that, because your photos, you don't necessarily store your photos in iCloud unless it's with PhotoStream, and we'll go through that because I think that's a huge thing. How many here are iPad owners? iPhone owners? Okay. And how many here have Siri on their devices? It would be iPhone 4S or newer. Great. Okay. after today, you're going to rush out and get Siri. Trust me. She's my girlfriend, and she's the best. So one of the beauties of the iCloud is now that we have all these devices. Well, first off, our mail never syncs. What happens is you go to that server and you get your mail on any device. There are ways to set up your devices so if you delete it here, it deletes it from your other devices. But your mail provider has to provide that, and it's called IMAP. It's a real ginky term. It just means if I reply or forward, it goes from here. My recommendation for that is Gmail. Get a Gmail. How many here have an email address that is their internet provider? Get rid of it. Or don't get rid of it, stop using it. Get an alternative. Because what happens if Bob and Joe's Internet and Barbecues comes along and offers you 3 times the speed for 1/3 the price, and you want to go to it? Man, I got all those, everybody's got my email address, I don't want to switch. Or like I was stuck with Comcast in Sacramento, they changed the name 5 times. Luckily, I had KenSpencer.com, so I was able to roll with the punches. But if I'd been a normal use, it was at home, then it went to Excite, then it went to AT&T Broadband, Comcast, then AT&T Broadband, back to Comcast. People that had that had to change their email address 5 different times. So they give you that email with your service, but there's a lot of free good email services out there. And that gives you the latitude to move to other things. Doesn't mean you have to stop using it. Use an alternative. I recommend Gmail completely. Yes, people are worried about Gmail reading your mail. No. And what's funny is Microsoft have these new ads for Outlook.com, and they say, don't get Scroogled and all this because they don't read your... They do the exact same thing. Google just tells you, lets you know what they do. So your data is very, very, very secure with Google. What happens is, just like when you do a search, if you were searching for a Chevy Volt, let's say, you'll notice when you do a Google search, it'll show Chevy Volts in Phoenix, right? Well, how does it know that? It's just Google is searching what you searched and it gives you what you think. If it sees your email and it says you have Chevy Volt in there, they might put a little thing on the side that's an advertisement for Chevy Volts. They're not reading your email. A computer just happens to see that. Anyway, Calendar and Contacts, formerly called iCal and Address Book, do sync. So if I have a phone number on here and I update it, it goes to the cloud and then back to my other devices. Not direct. The cloud's the intermediary. Now, who here is not running 10.7 or newer on their Mac? Okay, you can't do the cloud unless you go to 10.7. You can physically sync it and get your addresses and contacts. Then it only updates when you do it. I'm glad to see how many here are in Mountain Lion. Okay, 10.8. 10.7 on your Mac, the rest at 10.7, or you're not sure?
10.6.8.
10.6.8?
Yeah.
So that doesn't accommodate the cloud of the syncing. These two would sync with each other on the cloud, but on the Mac, you have to be on 10.7 or 10.8 to do iCloud syncing. So anyway, it works great because you can update things. I can go to iCloud.com and I could be at someone else's computer and log into iCloud.com and see all my addresses and everything else. Those of you that aren't on it should kind of look at it, but I'm of the philosophy, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it's not a big deal, if the cloud's not a huge deal for you, you don't have to upgrade to 10.6.8 or beyond 10.6.8. It will break a few things, like the old AppleWorks will stop working. You asked about photos and PhotoStream. This, to me, is one of the greatest features of iCloud, and this will work whether you have your Mac up to the iCloud or not. Does anyone know what the best camera in the world is?
The one you have with you.
Exactly. The one you have with you. Now, how many were iPhone owners? Okay. You have the best camera in the world with you all the time. Even if you're Android owners, same thing. You've got it with you all the time. So to use this, the beauty is now when I take pictures with my iPhone and I have PhotoStream, it goes up to the cloud and it stays temporarily in the cloud. That picture, if I took a picture of this group right now, it'd go up there and it'd stay up there for 30 days. or until I exceed 1,000 photos. So it's kind of like the DVR on your TV where it's a sliding scale. If you get 1,001 photos, the oldest one drops off. Once a photo hit 30 days, it drops off. In the meantime, you can go retrieve your photos from PhotoStream on your other device, or if you're on the cloud, when you fire up iPhoto, they automatically get downloaded to your iPhoto from your other device. Apple's trying to eliminate the need for the cables in the syncing. It works wonderfully. You're shopping for something. You can't remember if this rug you're looking at, what size it is and what the price is. You take a picture and go and take it back and take your measurements. When I FedEx or when I FedEx or ship a package, I take a picture of it right on the counter along with the tracking number. Those little things are just great, and they're a good way to document things. You get in a car accident. You get a rental car. Take the pictures around it like that. Things like that. Your phone is very usable, and then it gets stored on the cloud. The device you took it with will always have the photo till you delete it, regardless of whether it's over 1,000 photos or it's over 30 days. The device you took it with will always have it. The cloud doesn't suck it out of it, it copies it. Okay? Does that clear up PhotoStream for you a little bit? Photos themselves are not stored on the cloud because that can take up a lot of room. When you do iCloud, iCloud is free. You get 5 gigabytes of free storage. Your PhotoStream and your iTunes do not count against your storage space. They're in addition to your storage space. So Apple makes it simple. They say, well, I've got 2 gigabytes of PhotoStream and so many songs. They just say you've got 5 gigabytes to store basically your documents. Okay. Speaking of that, documents in the cloud. Now, who here uses Pages, Keynote, or Numbers? Okay, and if you have it on your iOS device, you can store your documents on the cloud, and then they're available on all your other devices. As long as your Mac is up to 10.8, it'll also go on the cloud, and it's readily available. I create the document here. I can store it on my computer. It's stored on my computer, but it also can go to the iCloud, and I can pick that device up or pick it up on my other devices. And it's really handy, and you seamlessly can go back and forth. Pages, Keynote are now not a bundle anymore. It used to be the iWork bundle, iWork 09. They haven't updated the numbers since then. But it's Pages, Keynote. Pages is a replacement and much better than Word. Numbers is a replacement for Excel, but real Excel gurus still find that Excel does a lot of heavy lifting better than Numbers will do. Go ahead.
Pages, I had problems with my people with PC being able to
read your thing?
Right.
You know what? Can you make a note and I'll come back and I'll show you when I get off the keynote. I'll show you how to do it because it's wonderful. You can interact completely with the whole rest of the world on it. Just put Pages and Word.
That's why I stuck with Word.
Nah, it's wonderful. And the last one is Keynote. And if you've ever watched a Steve Jobs presentation, they designed Keynote for Steve Jobs to do presentations. It was PowerPoint just doesn't cut it. Keynote is the bomb. But they're all stored on the cloud. So the other thing iCloud can do for your iOS device is back up. Now, your apps are in iTunes, so it doesn't need to back them up. But any data you have in here, all of that can get backed up in iCloud, and that does use part of your 5 gigabytes of space. Okay, so like if you have your own home movie on here that wasn't a movie you got from iTunes or something, that will take up that room. But iCloud is great, and the beauty of this is, how many here have lost a phone or an iPad or something like that ever? Okay, well, we'll show how Find My Phone works in a minute, but write down Find My iPhone. We'll do that too, if you don't mind. Yeah. But I can take, and if I have all my stuff backed up on the cloud, I go into the Apple Store, get a replacement phone, I sign into my Apple ID. And by the time you're to the car, the majority of your information will be on your phone. And that applies to when you get a new phone, obviously. Now, people are concerned, that's all my data and everything. You can remotely wipe it out if you need to. We'll show you how to do that in Find My iPhone. But the backup is there. And again, it's seamless. You can back up still to the computer. I, in fact, do both. Find My Friends. You know, with the same demographics, you can take an iPhone or an iPad if it has GPS. Can do a couple different things. Let's say you're at the Mesa, the marketplace. You know, 4 big rows. Hey, are you on? Are you over by the ties? Which group of ties? If you have iPhones and you have it activated, and each person has to activate it themselves, and you can have Find My Friends, and it will show you where the other person is by GPS and say, hey, I'm right there. Golf course doesn't matter. You know, here everybody knows where they are, but big marketplaces, big bazaars, places like that, you can really tell. If people have issues, you know, with dementia and things, you can have that active on someone with them and find out where they are at the whole time. Again, both sides have to activate it, so it's not a privacy issue. You can activate it temporarily or permanently. Okay, it's called Find My Friends. It's by Apple, and you have to have the cloud activated for that and an iCloud account. Back to, I forgot to mention this, we were talking a little bit about iTunes. If you guys want to share your addresses and your mail and everything, you have a common, like with your spouse, a common iCloud account. But most people don't want to share their address books. You want to have separate data, but you still want to share one iTunes account. Because if I buy a $50 Navigon navigation app, I wouldn't want my spouse to have to buy it also. So as long as you're on the same iTunes account, you can have it on up to as many devices as you want, 10, 20, 30. The same iTunes account, and it can be totally different than your iCloud account. That's actually how it is now that the Mac has apps in the App Store. You buy your app. I wish they would have called it the Application Store, and these is the App Store. But when you buy it here, it works for as many Macs as you have on that same iTunes account. So they're encouraging you to buy more Macs because you won't have to buy more software.
So you can have the same account but 2 different iCloud accounts.
Correct. They're separate. Now, this is where password hell comes in. You get this little thing and it says Apple ID, and instantly it's, oh God, what's my Apple ID? And everybody freaks out. Think of it this way. In iTunes, you use your Apple ID, but just think of it as an iTunes username. Forget that it says Apple ID. If it said username, it makes it a little less intimidating. And your iCloud is also an Apple ID, but if you think of that as a username, you can have a different username for the iCloud than you do for iTunes. And that's how it would be a husband and wife. They would have different iCloud accounts for different data, and Find My Friends, obviously that would work. But then to buy things from iTunes or from the App Store, you share an account. Okay, it gets a little, Apple has not, and then many people have had 1 or 2 or 3 iTunes accounts set up. They don't have a way to merge those old accounts yet. We think they're working on it. Find My iPhone, Find My Touch. I'm going to actually demonstrate that when we get back off of this because this is the best. It allows you to locate your device without Find My Friends, your own device. Maps. Now, who here has upgraded to the iOS 6 on their devices? Okay. Are you using Maps? The Apple Maps? It's wonderful. Yeah, I made all this news about this place in Australia where somebody went down the road and went. It turns out Google Maps gave somebody the exact same directions, but Apple's the one that got all the heat for it. It is fantastic. I can't say enough about it. I'm going to demonstrate it when we have the phone hooked up. Do you have iOS 6 on here? Good. So we'll show you that real live. It is just wonderful, and when it integrates with Siri, it's fantastic. So it does give you turn-by-turn voice-guided directions. It will even do it on an iPad 2. Even though the iPad 2 doesn't have Siri, it will read you the voice-guided directions back. You can't use Siri to input it.
But is that only if you have the cellular?
You have to have data to get it. But I'll tell you an interesting thing that I found out, because I had an iPad 2 before I got the Mini. If I'm at my house when I have Wi-Fi and I put my route in there, if I search for my route, and I can't correct my route along the way, or I can correct my route, but I can't go find a new item, I go and I put it on there, and then I go away, and it will give me voice-guided turn-by-turn directions as I go. As long as you have the 3G or cellular iPad, but your cellular doesn't have to be active. Because the 3G version of the iPad, the cellular version, I say 3G, I'm sorry, the cellular version of the iPad, which costs $130 more, even if you don't have the cellular active, it has a real GPS chip in it.
Right.
So it makes, the Mini makes a great
And
GPS.
mine doesn't have that, but I was just playing with it one day and it went into contacts and clicked on one of my
Yeah.
contacts and it shows the map of that, where that person lives, right in your contacts.
And it'll map it. And
like, sort of like MapQuest a bit.
yeah, and MapQuest does give you voice guided, but the new Apple Maps is just one, and it's getting better all the time. And I'm going to demonstrate that through Siri in a bit here. This is just something, one thing I like is you can actually show, there's a screen at the top, it says the estimated time of arrival. I was using that while I was driving last night and see, okay, how much farther is it to get to Mesa? So it's what, I came from Sacramento and I got here around 4. So I pulled over for an hour and a half and slept on the side of the road. That's right past Blythe. So it's just really good. It also does traffic, and I think it shows here. It gives you real-time traffic reports, whether it's construction, accidents, or just plain alerts. And believe it or not, it will route you around that if needed. Those of you that have an iPhone, there's a whole nother app if you have traffic that's bad. It's a free app, and it's called Waze, W-A-Z-E. I don't know if you remember that when the 405 in LA, they had what was called Carmageddon, and it was, they knew they were going to shut it down, I forget, for a weekend or something. And that LA was all in a Twitter about it. Well, people logged into Waze, and Waze is crowdsourced. It says, oh yeah, I'm going to go this way around this wreck, and this seems, it actually senses, and this is what Apple Maps is starting to do, is it senses how fast you're going and can report back to it, not how fast you are, anonymously gathers your data. But it says, oh yeah, the traffic is flowing this speed along here, and it can update that on the server accordingly. This whole interactivity with Waze and with Apple Maps is really, really, really wonderful. And yes, it does have you transmit your data back a bit, but it's completely anonymous, believe me. If it wasn't, everybody would be talking about it because it's Apple. But it will reroute you if there are problems along the way. Shared photo streams. The other thing is now with the Photo Stream 2, you can give someone a link to your photo. You don't emailing photos. If you have 6 photos and try to email them, it's going to be too big for email. So you can link it to a photo stream, and you're able to even have them. They can make comments on you, and it's specific people. You don't open it up to the world. So your photos are as locked down as you want them to be. Passbook. This I'm just going to hit briefly. Passbook is a new thing in iOS 6 that allows you to have, like if you have a Starbucks card, it can have it show up right in here. You have to have the Starbucks app, and then that app goes with Passbook. But believe it or not, American Airlines, I think Delta, so if you've booked a flight, your phone has a GPS in it, and it's got a thing called a geofence. It senses when you get near the airport, and Passbook will pop up and say, hey, well, here's your boarding pass. And it'll be right on the screen, and yes, they can scan it right at the gate, and TSA accepts it. So Passbook, we're only seeing just the start of it. Same thing, if you detect it goes by a Starbucks, your Starbucks card will pop up, and they'll scan your Starbucks card for you.
Last time I traveled was with Southwest Airlines.
They don't have it yet.
But I saw people present their phone, and the security people were sending them one line that would take that. I can't figure out how.
Well, that might be the Fast Pass. That was through security, a separate line?
Well, the line I was in, and there was a couple of people that had them on their iPhones, and he just directed them to another. I presumed it was
that could be a TSA Fast Pass, though.
Okay.
Because Southwest doesn't. I know Southwest. You know, they're very cutting edge. I think they'll have it soon. But I bet that was some sort. The TSA has this new, I think, Fast Pass or
Nexus.
whatever it is. Yeah. So that may be it. And this little QR code is what it reads. You can read it right off the screen. By the way, you can do those with loyalty cards now too. Like if you have a Vons card or a Fry's card, you can put those into your phone now too. Not through Passbook, just through their own.
Then what happens when you get to the going on a plane and they want that sheet of paper printout of your pad?
If they accept it, if it's an airline that accepts it, Delta and American, they just scan it. They don't need the piece of paper.
I have some.
Yeah, but not Southwest not yet. I've tried, but I always have a backup just in case. So, FaceTime is Mac or iOS device to another Mac or iOS device, and it's live video chat. Okay. I hate video chat because I'm a multitasker. I do other things. So this doesn't mean anything to me, but it's really cool if you want to communicate with, if you've got grandkids and you want to, or, you know, with these, you have a front and a back facing camera, so you don't have to just see you. You can say, hey, look how beautiful the weather is today, and it's shooting out the back camera on it. By the way, the camera that shoots out the back is a much higher resolution than the camera that shoots you here. If you have, if the bandwidth is tough, the front camera will pass the photos or the video a little bit better.
Use it every day.
You use FaceTime every day? Great.
Excuse me, can you do conference calls on that?
It's one-to-one. If you on the computer, you can do on the Mac in Messages. You can do the old iChat. You can do 4-way. You can do conference audio calls on this, but that would be through the regular phone, not through that. I put Skype in here also because you probably know a lot of people that have Skype. It's a free app for your iPhone, your Mac, or your iPad. And it does video calling just fine too. FaceTime, I like the interface better and it's much easier. But Skype to Skype is free. You can also make phone calls. Let's say you're in Europe and you just have an internet connection. You can make an international call using Skype because you're just using the data. So I just thought I'd throw that Skype in there too. Mail we talked about. Those of us on a Mac have noticed that our mail is becoming more and more looking like it does on the iPad. It's the iOS-ification of the Mac, but you know, realistically, it's not that Apple dislikes us old-time Mac users. What it is a lot of people, their first experience with Apple has been an iPad, and now to make that seamless, that's why they're doing the mail to look that way. You can still set mail to look in the classic view, but it really is smart because the people learn it here, and these are so intuitive. That brings that over to the Mac. In that last keynote that Steve Jobs gave, he also said we've entered the post-PC era. And they don't mean just PCs, but the post-personal computer era. I can do more on my iPad than I can do on my computer. We didn't think that in the beginning. We thought these would be consumption devices, but they're also content creation devices. The iPhoto app on here does more than the iPhoto app there. It's $5. It does many things like Aperture does if you're a photographer, and you can get a little kit and upload your photos right to it. Obviously, there's some space limitations, but it makes sense because they want them to all look and act the same, and as we adapt to that, that'll come. The other thing that's really hard for people to wrap their heads around is on your Mac, you're used to putting files in folders. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, when iOS 10 first came out 10 years ago, they almost eliminated the Finder. But the community said, no, wait a minute, you know. And they didn't. But you notice you don't know where your files are here. And it doesn't matter. Because if I fire up Pages, it shows me all my Pages documents that are available. If I fire up Keynote, it shows all my Keynote documents that are available. The Finder paradigm will probably still be there for a while, but it's not necessary that it has to be there, and especially because we have Spotlight that can search for anything. Okay? So Mail, Safari, one real neat thing with multiple devices in Safari, you know, I'm reluctant to bookmark things because then I have a million bookmarks. I used to email myself on I have a Gmail account that I would just send reference stuff to. If I read this and I might need it later at some point. And I'm not a hoarder, really I'm not. I always thought I was a hoarder until I watched one of those shows. I'm just a keeper. But I would send stuff up to there that I might want later. Now, what I have the option of doing is, if I'm reading an article, like Vanity Fair has some pretty long articles sometimes. If I'm reading it but I can't complete it, I hit the glasses.
Read.
No, reading list. Excuse me, reading list. Gosh, that was bad. Reading list, and that syncs with the iCloud, and then that shows up on my reading list on my other device, and I can simply finish the article there. I will show you Reader. Remind me to show Reader when we go live on our browser too. So the interaction of and all your bookmarks and stuff sync with the cloud. So it's real important to have the cloud. Now, if you have iOS 6, you now have a Panorama app. Or your photo app does panoramas. I also have another one that I really, because this one only goes to 240 degrees, but it's super high definition. It is incredible, the quality of it. But I have another one that I really like, and it's either 99 cents or $1.99, and it's called 360 Panorama. It will do a full 360 degrees. I was on the top of a plateau in Arches National Park near Moab. And it was a bright sunlight day, and the beauty of 360 is as I pan around, I hear a click every time I'm ready to go to the next one. And it goes around and does a full 360 pano, but since I couldn't see the screen in that direct sunlight so well, I heard the clicking, and I went around and I have this beautiful 360 degree panorama from there. And it's just, panoramas are just fantastic. iOS 6 compatible. This doesn't have some of the new devices. Accessibility. I have one of my clients who's actually come and spoke at our Mac users group, completely blind. He's as good on the iPhone as I am. Completely blind. So, as our site gets bad, macular degeneration, things like that, Stevie Wonder has praised Steve Jobs and the iPhone for what it's done for blind people. These are things you don't hear about from Apple a lot, but it's fantastic. You can increase your font size on here quite easily. The Apple stores are great about working with, they know these accessibility features. But Steve is this blind guy that is just fantastic. He sets it, his screen is this black all the time, and he puts his finger over it and it reads him what's under that. Like if it's in the app screen, it'll read you what the app is, and he double taps to activate it, and you can go through. And of course with Siri, it's made it wonderful. But I don't know that he necessarily needs driving directions, but everything else on Siri is pretty good. But it goes through, and it sends his emails. He communicates. If you didn't know him, you wouldn't know that he's blind, and it's just amazing what he can do on this phone. And there's a little thing when you have choices, you twist your fingers, and it makes this. It just does different choices. You'll have 10 different choices. It's incredible. The other neat thing is they now have the ability how many have kids come and they want your iPad whenever they see you and stuff. You can restrict access to only certain parts of the screen. You can make it so the home button, like a kiosk mode almost, but you can restrict it so they can't hit the home button and go in and check your mail and do things like that. You can give them restricted parts to just the Angry Birds or things like that. If you have not tried the new Apple earphone, nobody likes earbuds, right, or earphones. I love these. I'll pass these around. If you get them, they come free with an iPhone 5, or I guess you can pay $199 for these and you get the iPhone free, but they are fantastic.
In what way?
The audio fidelity is fantastic, but also they fit incredible. And I don't mind, you guys are welcome to put them on, can wipe them off afterwards, but the microphone is on the right side, so that's your right one, because they are asymmetric. And they don't even really go in your ear as much as they just kind of hang there. And they feel like they're going to come out, but they won't. They have a little bit of air opening here, so you'll hear outside noises. They're not designed to be noise canceling, because realistically in the real world, you need to hear street noises and things like that when you hear a bus rounding a corner when you're about ready to step off on the sidewalk. So the audio fidelity is fantastic. But the other advantages to it is If I'm listening to music or whatever, I have a volume up and a volume down button on it. If a call comes in, I click it and I accept the call. If I'm listening to music, I can click it and it pauses it. And for those of you that are photographers, I don't know if you're aware, but first of all, when you're in the iPhone photo, when you're taking pictures, there's a little button on the camera, right? Well, it's not when you press the button, it's when you release the button that it takes the picture. But the volume up button is now a shutter release if you're in camera mode. Consequently, if I have these plugged into my iPhone and I hit the volume up button, it will snap a shot. So you could set it down like that. So the volume up button on this. So I'll pass the headphones around. Feel free to try them on. It doesn't matter to me. All right. So Siri. Siri is wonderful. I'm going to demonstrate that when we get on Joan's phone here in a second. So we'll just leave that being said. I don't read a lot of books. I read a lot of periodicals. I read about 20 different Mac sites every day and keep up on that information. I'm a news junkie, news and politics junkie, and I read a lot of that stuff. Unfortunately, I don't read a lot of books anymore, and I can't keep a focus to read a book anymore. But I know many of you read books. So I'm not an expert on this, but I'll just let you know what some of the choices are. This is one called Overdrive. It's a free app, and it's also what you can get it on your Mac. This allows you to check out books, predominantly audiobooks, but I think other ebooks too, from your public library. So it's free. Overdrive, it's called. Now, on your iPhone, your iPad, and even on your Mac, you have a Kindle app that you can do. And there's also iBooks from Apple. Kindle obviously is the hands down, that's the one that everybody uses. Kindles are the original Kindles are wonderful devices. They work real well in direct sunlight. These don't do great in direct sunlight, but they do well everywhere else. But I'll give you a little tip. Well, now that we have the mini, it's lighter, but when we had the original full-size iPad, the Kindle was better for reading in bed because when you fall asleep and it hits you on your nose, the Kindle doesn't weigh as much. So, but the new iPad mini is pretty. In fact, I pass around the mini for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. Hopefully, I'll get that back. It's
He won't go out of here without it.
Kindle. If you have a Kindle and you have an iPad, your devices sync just like with the cloud. It's what they call whisper sync, is what they call it. And if you're on page 35. You make sure that you got it on the correct side. You're right. The microphone goes on the right ear. Oh, by the way, driving, it is legal to have one in.
Oh.
Okay, you're not supposed to have two, but you're able to have one, and they prefer that because then your hand's free. And Siri has some other benefits when you're using a headset. The Kindle will sync, but that's one thing. If you're sharing an Amazon account, don't be reading the same book as your spouse because you're on page 35 and they're on page 200. You keep going back and forth and you're going to be in different spots. So some of them allow you to share it. But Overdrive is really good. I know nothing about the Nook. It's a neat device and it's really cool, but I know nothing about it. So I apologize. Go ahead.
Over here at the Mesa Library, they'll give you a whole sheet telling you how to use the Overdrive, making the whole thing work with Nook or any of the ebooks.
Good, and that's what a resource, It really is. I think on the library, though, because the way the licensing is they have X amount of copies, and you may have to get in line to actually check it out, just like you'd be waiting for another book. So the key there is be a couple years behind. Don't read the most popular current books, and you'll be okay. My mom, interesting thing on the Kindle. My mom's sister lives up in Seattle. And she likes to read, and they like to read the same books. But she has no internet at her house up there. No need for internet or anything. So we got the Kindle, the original Kindle or the new Paperwhite. And if you get it with 3G, it costs about $100 more to get it with the 3G. But it doesn't need an internet connection or a paid-for internet connection. It just comes in over the cell. So she has no monthly fee at all. And then what we did is, just like the iTunes account, we put her on the same account Mom has, and so if Mom buys a book, her sister can read it, and back and forth. But that's a little key, because like the Kindle Fire and the Wi-Fi only Kindles, you have to have an internet connection. But why expose her to that $20 to $50 fee every month? This was a way for her to get books on her Kindle and have it not do it. In fact, my mom, good example. My mom, who's come here for years, my dad was always a computer person, and Mom was an excellent typist and stuff, but she just kind of never, she actually never made the connection between the mouse and the cursor too well. She did better on a laptop with a trackpad, but just wasn't interested. Finally, she got angry enough, because she reads our Sacramento Bee cover to cover, and it says, for more information, go see sacbee.com. Well, I'm her techie son, and I want her to ask me for this stuff, because if I recommend it, then I'm in trouble if it doesn't work out. And finally she said, you know, should I get an iPad? Well, she got an iPad. And by the way, we had DSL at the house, at her house, because that's the only way the grandkids would come visit, as long as she had internet. But now everybody has iPhones and stuff. But she got the iPad that has the cellular service, and so when she came here, she's 88 and she's selling her place. A great place for sale, right up top on 5300 block. That's what I'm here getting, is some of her personal stuff. She just didn't want to make the travel anymore. Anyway, we got her the iPad, and with 3G, we were able to cancel the DSL at her house, and she's paying less to have the 3G coverage, and she has her iPad with her whenever she wants. And she loves the iPad. Yeah, she plays Pinochle on it, she plays cards, but she's doing email, and it's opened up new things. She has property management companies. She communicates with them by email. So the iPad can be a standalone. You don't have to have internet service at your house or at here. And so it was great when she'd come down here, because she just had a connection. It was through that service. 20, 30 bucks a month or so. So don't think of the old paradigm that I have to have high-speed internet at the house and at your location.
That's really something you mentioned. The Kindle has its own way of keeping you up to date on where you are. It has its own cloud. You do not have to go on to any other internet.
Well, no, that's only certain devices, unfortunately, certain Kindles. When
I am reading my iPad books, Kindle books,
right,
they keep track of where I am.
Correct. Yeah, so that's the Whisper Sync. That's the cloud syncing. But as far as making a Kindle, if you don't have internet at your house, you have to get a Kindle that uses 3G. And if you get the Fire or one of those, you pay for it. But on the original Kindle with 3G or the Paperwhite, there's no charge to have that circuit, because you're not doing email. They're getting these itty-bitty little books get downloaded, so they don't charge you for the cell service. So just to clarify, that's a distinction is, because there's a lot of people that don't have internet at their place here or whatever. If they get the Kindle Paperwhite, and I don't know if the original Kindle still does it or not, but the Kindle Paperwhite with 3G, it has Wi-Fi obviously, so if you have internet, you're fine. But like my aunt, she has no internet at her house at all, and the books come in fine over the 3G. She pays no monthly service. So it's a weird thing they have. Now, we've been talking about the App Store and iTunes. Well, I pay 20% less for everything I buy on the iTunes and the App Store. Not because I'm special. I keep searching websites, and when gift cards go on sale, I purchase them. Biggest you'll ever find is about 20%. 10 is fairly common. For instance, I'll give you an example. Around Christmas time, I saw where one of the sites, it said, at Walmart online, you can purchase a $50 gift card for 40 bucks. Tough calculation. That's 20% discount. And it's delivered to me by email with a little code. So what I did is I bought 2 of them, saying, well, if I forgot to get somebody a gift and they give me a gift, I'm going to have these in my back pocket in my email if I need to give them to anybody. I'm magnanimous. I'm giving them a $50 gift card. It only cost me 40 bucks, but they don't know that. Luckily, I hadn't forgotten anybody. So after Christmas was over, I redeemed those for myself, and I banked them up into my iTunes account, so I always have there. Now, when you buy Mountain Lion, if you buy Aperture, if you buy apps, if you buy music, if you buy movies or rent movies, they just whittle away my discount. But whenever I look at something, I go, yeah, I'm paying 20% less than that. So keep an eye out. Best Buy brick and mortar sometimes will have 20% off. Okay, keep an eye, but that's how you get up to 20% off iTunes. iTunes gift cards do not work in the Apple Store for hardware devices. There's not margin in there for that. But this stuff, I mean, it's a great way to do it. And I've always got it banked, and you know, I'm a very frugal person, and I think I got like $199 still in my account. And I was looking at an app this morning that I really want. It's for the Mac. It's a great one. And it's called iDraw, and I'm probably going to get it as soon as I have a good internet connection. So it's $24.95. I'm going to be paying about $20 for it. So keep an eye out on those. And oh, and another really neat thing is, if you have a Mac that has a camera, which most Macs do, and I'm sure it's going to be coming to these devices soon, if you have a FaceTime camera, you hold the card up to the camera, and there's a long number that you always type in and miss up a few numbers, you go back, it'll take a picture of the number, and it'll automatically redeem the card for you from your Mac. That just happened recently.
Mountain Lion.
Maybe Lion 2. Maybe, I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've left Lion behind.
These are a couple accessibility things that I want to tell you about that that are in every iOS device. You can do a neat little thing called, you can make a phrase. How many times do you type your address, for instance? Or do you type, hi, having a great time, wish you were here, and you're going to attach that to a photo. You can make a little shortcut, like here, that's the phrase like, on my way. It's OMW, and when you type OMW, immediately replaces it with OMW. You could have, hi, having a great time, wish you were here. HH, because they never really go together. HH, hi, having, HHA. So if you type HHA, it could type out, hi, having a great time, wish you were here. So those are in your iOS devices. They're also in your Mac. And it's a great way to do something if you're doing a lot of different things. Unfortunately, we won't need that much when you use Siri. What was this one? General accessibility. Oh, invert colors, but actually you can have it speak your text. I can highlight something on a website on both my Mac and this, and it will read it to me. So these, I'm not going to go into detail in these accessibility features because there's just way too many. All right, we're going to, actually I'll show you so you guys can write down. Here's my email address. You're welcome to send me any email questions. And then what I'll do is also, I'll give Joan the link to, or either one of you, both of you, the link to where the website is that has all my stuff on it. So, also, yeah, I'd like to, we talked about possibly doing a screen share. I'm open for that all the time. All right, so that's Keynote, and that was on the cloud. I want to go over a couple of the things that we talked about first. What's our list? Well, first of all, I'm on Mountain Lion, so let me show you on my Mac. Let me get on the internet first. Disconnect. And free. Is it the free one or the VP public Wi-Fi? Which is better? They're both the same?
Well, I think they're both similar, aren't they?
Oh, I think the public Wi-Fi, you have to buy the
Card,
free, yeah. Okay. So, who here on their Mac? Well, who are Mountain Lion? 10.8. Okay. Built-in dictation. So let's say I'm going to go to. I'll just go to Notes. So I fire up Notes. I'm going to do a new note, and we'll call it Test. So I'm going to take my finger and double tap my function button. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Period. New paragraph. This is dictation on your Macintosh, comma. it sure is a good reason to upgrade to Mountain Lion, period. It allows me to speak for up to 30 seconds at a time, comma, and it will type what I say.
That's very great.
So we think Siri will be coming to these things quite soon, but for me, when I get 200 emails in a day, and for me to be able to respond to those, I used to always go to here because I could use Siri. Now I can do it on here if I want, and it is wonderful. Now, how does this work? It records what I say for up to 30 seconds, takes what I've recorded and sends it out over the internet. So you must have a persistent internet connection. It crunches it in that big supercomputer that Apple has in North Carolina and comes back to me as text. The text portion is very quick and easy to come over the internet. But if I want to put more on it, I simply hit the function button twice again, comma, and I can keep speaking where I left off, period. It lets me do it in up to 30-second chunks, comma, but I can keep going on, comma, and on, comma, and on, exclamation mark. Oh, got the end all. And it messes up some things. Yeah, 30-second, so. But it will never misspell a word, because before it sends it to you, it consults a dictionary. And that's how it also helps. And you'll notice now, the other thing to notice is, both on Siri, on this, and on here, watch the, and we have a little bit of background noise, but watch the microphone and it'll tell you how loud I'm talking. If I talk really quiet, it doesn't go very high. But if I talk loud, I can go there, comma, you're able to boost the volume in your settings. See, if I talk really quiet. I was pretty quiet and it took it. So it's really neat. It's in Mountain Lion. It's free. It comes in Mountain Lion.
Now tell us about the address book.
The address book.
You have to be willing to give up the contents of your address book so that it can read names.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
But I would.
Well, I was.
Your stuff's
about
safe with Apple. I mean,
No.
okay. The
question is.
Apple spends so much money on security. You have to. I take a look at things from a monetary point of view. I'm very capitalistic, and if Apple spends, and I don't know the numbers, but let's say they spend $20 million on security. That's because they know if they get anything hacked or any problem, they're going to lose $200 million worth of goodwill. So that's the equivalent of spending money on advertising. So Apple, Google, you don't hear about them getting hacked. And there's stuff built into the systems to keep that from happening. They're a good player on that. And you know, my philosophy is everyone has to play the security game. There's convenience and there's security. And where you fall somewhere in between is your own choice. I gravitate to the convenience end of it. I like to have these things work for me. It's never come back and bit me. It may, but I take that on my own and take my choice. I have a guy that talks about security at our MacNexus meetings, and he thinks security would be, well, when you drive your car home, you have a locked gate with concertina wire around your house, and you press the button and your gate opens up, or actually it's probably a chain link. You know, he doesn't have the button, he goes around because that can get hacked, opens up the door, drives his car in, shuts the gate, and so his car won't get stolen. He then walks up to the bank and puts his car key in the safety deposit box. How convenient is that? I like to go out, press a button, have my garage door open, and go drive. Okay? So everybody makes their own choice on that. And my thought is as far as I think there's security through obscurity. The Rose Bowl, January 1st, go in there. Even a big guy like me can go hide in that crowd pretty easily. But it's pretty tough for me to hide in an elevator. I'd rather have all my data where all the other data is. And besides that, what are they going to get? They're going to get some names.
Well, that was the question that I had to ask. One of the columnists online said, actually, it's only the first and last name that they want.
And the reason is, for instance, I have a name, Ken. If I tell Siri not to do it, and she still does it occasionally, it comes up C-A-N. I have one client. Here's an interesting thing. Her name is Ann Young. Nicest people in the world, but I can't barely make Siri call her. Because Ann Young are two very short monosyllabic names. But if I put a nickname in there, and I'll use a good friend of mine, his shows up fine, but I use him on my thing. Let's make sure I got my volume up. So, call Schnitzel.
Which phone number for Jerry Shelton? Mobile.
Jerry Shelton's his name. So, his nickname in my address book is Schnitzel. So when I say call Schnitzel, it says, okay, I'm going to call Jerry Shelton. So you can do everything with nicknames if you want. You can call me whatever you'd like.
I'd call you Smart Cookie.
Well, there, and if you said that, it'll come up and say, Ken Spencer. So that's a way to do that. And believe me, if there were issues with that, it would be all over the place, and Apple, you know, when you're the pioneer and you're the biggest, you've got a target on your back, and there people would be doing, there's guys that go in and tear this stuff apart to try to find it. It's one of those things where everybody has all our information. If you want to get scared, go to Spokeo.com. S-P-O, it's like the spoke, like a bike, Spokeo.com. You'll see addresses you used to live at, your age, family members, and things like that. And this is all public information. And it's scary, the stuff they have and how you can find stuff. Yeah, to go beyond, you have to pay to get beyond it and things. And that's their whole thing is, hey, see, I've got all this. You want to find out about this person, pay more to get this. But just the stuff they show you on the screen is scary. It's out there. And we can't stop it. I mean, well, you can, but that's Ted Kaczynski in his cabin up in Montana, you know. So that's not a huge concern of mine. I want that functionality. What are some of the things we needed to go over? We talked about ways. Was it on?
About Word versus Pages.
Pages. All right. So I'm going to go to Pages. I love Pages. Pages is the bomb. Let's do.
Can you use Siri with Pages?
Anywhere you have a keyboard, you have a microphone. In fact, we're going to hook your phone up in a second. So I'm firing up Pages, and look at this. I have the option of making a new document and having it go right on the cloud. It also exists on my computer, but then it's automatically backed up to the cloud. Who here is not backing up their Macintosh all the time?
We all should be in Mac class.
And you just go buy a little hard drive at Fry's and plug it in, and Time Machine takes over. Okay? Because a lot of you aren't up to speed to be able to get cloud. But God, I get calls from clients all the time. I lost my hard drive, went bad. The first question I ask is, and I just sit back and I'm like, do you have a Time Machine backup? And if they say yes, I say thank you. And if they say no, I get sick to my stomach because, that kid is never going to be 5 years old again in that photo.
But also, not only do they have Time Machine, but have you used it?
Yeah, and when you plug it in, it automatically. Now, many of you, if you have it plugged in, it's probably working. But trust me, think about it. When the fires race up Malibu Canyon, the people that happen to be home, what are they running out of their house with? Their photo albums. These are our photo albums these days. Hard drives crash. You should have your data in at least 3 locations. On your hard drive, on a backup hard drive, which protects you from catastrophic drive failure. But what about if you're not home and the fire rushes up Malibu Canyon and it gets your backup hard drive in this? The second hard drive should be off-site. Now, some people talk about Carbonite and stuff. It's hard if you have a lot of files. It'll work. It's online backup. But I say get a second drive and put it in a safe deposit box. Keep that drive more than 10 blocks from your house. Because believe me, if something affects 10 blocks, you're probably not going to care about what happened on your data. Because if it hits 10 blocks, okay, well, So what? But keep it at a friend or family house at another location. And then you bring that one, let's say you do a trip. If you take 30 more pictures in the garden, don't go and grab your hard drive and do that. But if you take a trip and you go to Mozambique and you come back with all these priceless pictures, go get your hard drive, back it up, and then take it back where it belongs. Speaking of time machine, because this is probably the most important thing of any of them. How Time Machine works is, you'll notice it's not called backup. Here's how it works. When you have it plugged in and you have it active, it backs up every hour, and you can force it to back up sooner. It's called Time Machine because what happens is, let's say I'm out in the garden and I'm taking pictures of a beautiful rose bush, and the neighbor's cat runs by, and I get a fleeting picture of the cat. But it's a little blurry. But I put it in iPhoto, and after 3 months I go, I don't like that cat, it's a blurry picture, and you delete it from iPhoto. If you have a Time Machine backup, what happens 6 months later? The neighbor comes over and says, I've lost my cat. I need to make a lost cat poster. And you go, good, okay, no, I won't tell him. I won't tell him I can get the photo. I don't like that cat. Okay, you can reach back into Time Machine and get that photo you deleted. Now remember, we were taking a picture of the rose and we were taking a picture of the cat. We deleted the cat. We can reach back into Time Machine and get it. The one of the rows will always be on your computer still and always in backup because you didn't delete it. So that's why it's called Time Machine. The same applies to documents. How many times, back to this whole hoarder thing, I never delete any emails. I never delete any documents because I know as soon as I do, I'll need them. And hard drive space is cheap. But if I do, I can reach back into Time Machine and get them. Okay. Now that I use solid state drives, I don't have as much room on my hard drives as I used to. So I want to make sure that stuff's all backed up. Time Machine is free. If you're running 10.5 or newer, it will work like crazy. Use it. On the other hand, with Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, it backs it up on the iCloud. So,
Why do you like Pages so much?
I'll show you. So I'm going to just open, since we don't have a great connection, I'm just going to open up a brand new, actually I'll go here, new from Template Chooser. So, those of you that started with Pages when it first started, it was really weird. You'd put objects in and the text would run around and get out of your way and it'd never do what you wanted it to do. Now, when you go to Document Template Chooser, you have, notice, word processing at the top and page layout in the bottom. And the teaser or the guidepost here is, when I click letters in word processing, it's very linear. It's a letter. It's very linear in what you're doing. You can still put stuff in it. If I hit page layout, you'll notice it's a lot of objects, okay? So anybody can build letters like this. But what's really cool is you can just drag your addresses from your address book into here, make your Christmas card letter, make your envelopes, all that. But in something like a newsletter, if I grab this, so first of all, that's fake text. And I can replace the text with anything I want, okay? We could say, you point RV Mac class club. Okay. Oops. So the beauty of using the templates is, if I go to hit a new page, I can choose text, back page, mailer. It has the same look and feel, but we're not talking about cars, we're talking about Macs, right? So I can reach in and hit media, and I can go in and get every photo that's in my iPhoto library. Oh, here's one of my good friends at Yosemite. I'll just drop that in. Okay. Now, the other thing I can do with Pages is, I'm going to give you a little example. I'm going to go out on the internet, and then the crux of all this, I'm going to show you how I can export this for a Word document. But I'm going to search for apple pie. Google search apple pie, right? Well, okay, there's apple pie recipes. If I click on images, it gives me pictures of apple pies. And usually, oh, there it is. The Mac Mini as an apple pie. See the little Mac Mini? Somebody made one. But I'm just going to grab this apple pie right here. And I'm going to say, view original item. Take a second to load. So this is an image. So I'm going to two-finger click or right-click or control-click and say copy image. I could also add it to my iPhoto library. See, add to iPhoto library. If I'm going to use this apple pie later, I could add it there. Or if it was, you know, a beautiful scenery shot or something like that. But if I go back to Pages, and now I want to go in here and I'm just going to hit paste. I've pasted that. But look at that white border. That looks ugly, right? If I try to put that down here, you're going to see that white border. I can go into a thing called Instant Alpha. And like magic, I move this out, and now I've gotten rid of that border. And now I replace that little sign with this, our little apple pie without its white border. And things like watch the text move around the keys. Those are all kinds of things you can do in Pages. Pages is very powerful, but it can be as simple as you want. But here's the best part. I can say share, send via email to someone that has Pages, and then they can open it in Pages. I can send it as a Word document, but believe me, keep the document fairly simple because Word doesn't know how to handle these complex documents. But more, how many of you have emailed somebody a document in Word or in Pages, and when they get it, it looks all jumbled up? So if we use some big fancy font that you spent 2 hours finding the right font to have that newsletter name up there, and you send them in a Word or send them in Pages, if they don't have that font on their computer, it won't render correctly. So the only time you want to send it in Word or send it in Pages is if they're going to work on it and you're going to work on it and you're going to edit it back and forth. Otherwise, you share it as a PDF, because a PDF is a snapshot of it, including the font that's on it. So I just go mail as PDF. Now, actually, let's go back and do one other. I'm going to, because this is, see how this looks like a regular attachment, right? But sometimes you don't see that attachment is probably what somebody's going to point out. So let's do this a little differently. I'm going to make this a one-page document. I'm going to delete that second page. Now, watch what happens when I hit share PDF. Notice it doesn't look like an attachment, right? It shows, when it's a single-page PDF, it shows you the whole page because Macs are smart. They say, why am I going to show you this little blue underlined thing? Why don't I show you what it looks like? When the PC gets it, it will still look like a regular attachment, okay? Just because you can see it doesn't mean it's not a normal attachment. Go ahead.
If there's 2 or 3 pages, and when you go to look at it, you only get the one, will they get the 3?
This is only one page. That's what I want to show you. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to that. I've got a 2-page. Now, how can I get that page back I just had? The favorite key combination. Undo, Command Z. There, now I got 2 pages. So let's share this as PDF. And you'll notice it's now a little attachment. And to check that, because that was too easy. How can it be? That was too easy. It can't be right. If I double click on this little attachment, it fires up preview, and look at this, both my pages. And that's exactly what the other person will see when in a PC when they open up in Adobe. PDF is the keys to the kingdom. Now, what's really cool is everywhere on a Mac that you can print, let's go to Safari, and we'll go back one just so we see a thing. So I go here and I say print. You'll notice down here in the lower left, PDF. I can say open in PDF, or I can say mail as PDF. So they see what you're seeing. And there, well, I was clicked on the one subject, so that's why that happened. That's it.
That was in Safari?
Anywhere you can print. So let's say you're at Amazon. Amazon emails you a receipt, but you know how it is. Or sometimes you look at a site where there's a rebate. You print it out, and then when the item comes in, you can't go find the paper you did. So if you go and you want to take, for instance, we'll just go to Apple. Instead of printing out what's on your page, I go up here and I say print, but instead of selecting a printer, I go over here and I say save the PDF on my computer and file it. And then if I ever have to print it, I can always go print it. That receipts, all those things. If it's on your screen, don't print it out and don't file it, because it's also better to have a digital version of it. You can always print it later. Okay, or you can mail the PDF. How many times are you got something you want to mail it to somebody, a little picture on your screen or something like that? To be able to do that on a PC is a $400 program. You have to have Acrobat Pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about Find My iPad?
Oh, great. So let's...
Can you just back up a minute? You had your signature in your email there. How did you get that one image in?
Top secret. What I did is, and so I went to Safari. I actually found that icon in Safari. So if I go to New Message, to me it kind of looks like me. I found this little thing as in the, like we found apple pie. Okay, I saved it to my desktop, but what I actually had to do is I had to massage it and get a little smaller and stuff to fit here in the signature. So all I did for signatures in Mail is I go up to Mail, Preferences, Signatures, and I copied and pasted it right to the signature. Now when you do signatures, you'll notice it says all signatures, and there's my iCloud signatures. You have to assign, like let's see here, so what's missing? My signature number 6 is not in iCloud. If I want signature number 6 to show in iCloud, I have to drag that one over to iCloud. In other words, you have this bucket of signatures you make, and then depending on what mail account you want them in, you do it. And then once it's in the mail account, I can choose it to default to one of these signatures, or none, or a lot of people have quotes, so they'll have it generate in random order. And once I've done that, you'll notice here, I can go over in the mail and change whatever signature I want. Many times when I forward something, I don't like that there, so I'll just hit none, and it takes it right off. So signatures in mail is quite good. Now the problem is it's not quite as functional on the iPad and the iPhone, but you can do it on there. But signatures is great, especially, you know, a lot of people have proverbs or quotes or something that they sign their email with, and you do every time. I have a great, I have one, I'll put it up on the screen here that I do. I'll mail myself something here so I can feel like I'm doing something. Let's see here. Test. Oh, actually, let's do this. Aha, I got the tip of the day coming here. The Party of the Century will be on March 15th, 2013 at 2 p.m., period. Make sure you come, exclamation mark. Ooh, I'm on the Wi-Fi. Take it, I should have gone on 4G. Okay. Oh, it did it. It did it. Okay. So I'm sending myself an email. That way I feel more important. I said I got 200 emails a day. 100 of those are from me, of course. So, get mail. And we'll give it a second. So what the iPhone, if you use, like we talked about Gmail, you'll notice some of these emails have no blue dots on them, or here I replied. If I replied from my iPhone or iPad, it will show up here as replied, because I'm actually using iCloud Mail. Here, I sent myself an email. So let's open up this email. So here's the email. Now, first thing I can do is I can add sender to my contacts if they weren't in your contacts, okay? What a great way to populate your address book. The other thing is, in fact, let me do this. I'm going to do a round trip here. I'm going to reply and then send. But while I'm doing that, so this is the mail I'm looking at here. You'll notice when I hover my cursor over this date and time. Now, this is the party of the century, and you don't want to miss it, right? So let's say it was a potluck or there were secret directions in the password you have to say at the door. I'm going to say, okay, add this. Oh, it didn't do that right, so I'll say party of the century. I just clicked on that little data detector and had it add of the century. Now this part applies only to the Mac. You can do this on the iPad and iPhone too. So I'm going to add that to the calendar. Now, when I go to my calendar, it was what, March 2nd, right? Let's see here. Party of the, it probably didn't sync yet.
It's on the 15th.
Oh, the 15th, thank you. God, I don't want to miss the party.
Didn't want to miss that party.
So it's at 2 p.m. It starts early, okay? Or maybe that's left over. So watch what happens when I click this item. Double click and hit. Look at that. Edit. I can change it. It says show in mail. It'll round trip because remember the map was on that mail you got sent. So if I say show in mail, it fires up that mail. That's key. Now, the other cool thing is, those are called data detectors. But remember, I sent myself this one because it has my address there. So look what happens when I hover over my address. I'm just hovering. I'm not clicking. I'm putting my mouse over it. And I click, and I can add to an existing contact or add to new contact. It recognizes date and phone format. No reason not to use. And remember, the best part is the address book syncs with everything else then. On your iPhone and your iOS device, usually it'll be blue underlined, just like it is on a hyperlink. The only problem is if you do it from the mail here in the calendar, it won't come back and show you in mail. That's the only negative about all that. But to me, that just makes life really, really good. All right, so that was signatures and mail. What do we got coming? Find my iPhone. All right. So I got back on the internet. That's proven. So I've activated on my iPhone and my iPad Find My iPhone. So to go find my iPhone, I go to iCloud.com. Now, there's a free app for these devices called Find My iPhone that you get from Apple. Now, obviously, if I'm on my iPhone, if I have it on my phone, I can't, and I've lost my phone, that app does me no good. But I can find my iPad, or on my iPad I can find my phone or somebody else's phone. This is where you sign in with your iCloud ID. I'm going to show you here how it works, but it works great on these other devices. I had a client who had an iPad. She set it on top of her car. She went away. They were at a meeting at the library, and she called me, and we were able to track it and see it. And so she went. The library was closed. She went over there. And I said, it looks like it's kind of inside, but you might want to check. And she checked all the bushes around. No problem. She went the next day when the library opened, and somebody put it in a book deposit because it was a group of people that she was there with. So, but the best part, I'll show you the options on this. So I'm putting in my Apple ID. And this is where if somebody's tracking it for you, obviously you have to give them your password because you don't want everybody to be able to get into it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have my phone on silent, ringer silent right now. So if my phone, I don't know if it's in my car, in the sofa cushion, it's in a bag, and I ring my phone, I'm not going to hear it, right? Not a problem with Find My iPhone. Because, give it a sec, our internet's not super fast. Again, I've got it on silent. It's locating all my devices. Now, some of these I have some legacy devices that show up on here. I only have one iPad and one iPhone right now, and 3 Macs. So it's locating my devices. So if I click devices, there's my iPhone. It's locating my others. So my iPad mini, it's not connected right now because I'm not, let me get on it. I'm on the Wi-Fi, so it'll probably connect too. But let's do the phone. Phone here, it's already connected. So I click on my phone. So my phone shows up. Here's my phone. But I don't know if it's in my car. I don't know if it's in the sofa cushion. So I remember it's on silent. I'm not touching anything. It'll go for 2 minutes. So then you go check the other car. You hit play sound again and it will. I can dismiss it. I can also send a little message. Say, I will give you a reward if you get my phone back to me. No questions asked. I can also, when I do what's called lost mode. Oh, by the way, you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, it means I got to charge my phone here. Oh, it's not bad. So it shows the battery strength. So you know, man, I really got to start locating my phone because that's the problem. Only bad part here if the battery goes dead or if it's off. Not if it's asleep, if it's off. I saw you turn your phone off. Who here turns their phones off?
I put it on.
You were on. You had to boot it. No, but you had your phone wasn't even on.
I have it on vibrate.
Leave your phones on your iPads all the time. The battery will last 30 days on an iPad. Just let them go to sleep. That's all you need to do, because they're all usable and they'll get your mail in the background and things like that. But anyway, lost mode will allow me to put a password lock on this. I don't have mine currently locked. If I hit lost mode, it says put in a code. I can say 3333 or whatever, and then if someone gets it, they can't do anything to it. And if I'm for sure it's lost, I can hit erase the iPhone, and all of your data is off of it. That's pretty severe, and you will no longer be able to track it once you erase it. But that's when you've given it up. Now, all you do then is, let's say you find it. It was in my other pair of pants. You plug it into your computer and do it, or go to iCloud, and all your data's back. So it's very secure. It works for the iPad, the iPhone, and believe it or not, for your Macs now too. So that's Find My iPhone, and it's huge. I have saved a lot of people with this. In fact, the police are recognizing this, and if you have it, they will help you go find it. The only caveat we found is, since it's GPS, if it's a 3-story building, you don't really know which one it is. But there's really funny about the Tone one. There was in New York. They went up to this place. They knew that the phone was in there. And the police were in communication with the guy. No, I don't have a phone. And they hit the play sound. And the sound starts going in the house in the background. And cops are going, yeah, we know where the phone is now. And it was playing the bing, 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 bing like that. So Find My iPhone is really good. What else? Let's see here. Oh, Reader in Safari. All right, so CNN.com. Now, normally, there's two things. First of all, if I share this website, oh gosh, close. If I share this website by file, share by email, it puts the link to CNN down there, right? But you'll notice up here, let's get rid of mine to make it a little easier. I can also say send the web page or a PDF. Now, by the way, the PDF would have clickable links. But if I say web page, you can see what it was. The problem with just sending a link to CNN is, let's say that, let's see what this title is. Opinion, she's right, come to work. Snowstorm batters Heartland. Let's say this is about somewhere in Illinois that you know somebody's from. And you say, oh man, that's terrible. And you send the link to CNN, and when the person clicks on CNN, they talk about capturing this serial killer. And that's the current article in front on the page, and you just send an email that says, isn't this too bad? So it can be taken out of context. If you send the web page itself, or in your older versions of it, it'll say send link or send contents, they'll know what it is, and all the links are clickable. Okay? So that's to do that, but what we were going to show is reading list and reader. So I'm on the main page, and let's say I hit this snowstorm batters Heartland. You'll notice that the blue bar starts coming across, and the reader is grayed out, and there, the reader just went blue, didn't it, up in the upper right corner. If I hit reader, look at all this other stuff, all these other pages, all this other garbage on here. Watch what happens when I hit reader. It gets rid of all the garbage. Any pertinent pictures to the article comes like this, and it's clean. You can go down here, you can increase the size of the text. You can email it from there. And how much cleaner would that be to print? When we hit print, look at how much cleaner that is. Okay? And you have that on your iPhone and your iPad also. And on Reader, I find it very useful on these because you have the ability to increase the text of that, just the text portion, once you're in Reader. To get out of Reader, you simply click on Reader again. Now, don't confuse Reader with Reading List. So if I go here and I say Add to Reading List, it's syncing with the cloud, and these little eyeglasses over here is a list, and it's still loading it. But those are the list of articles that I've put in my reading list to either read on another device or read later. And I can choose to show all my stuff on my reading list or just the ones I haven't read. And if I hit unread and I read it, then it takes it off of my unread list. These are little links. They take up virtually no room at all. So they're kind of like a temporary bookmark, but it propagates to all your devices. Okay. What? Yes?
Sometimes when you're on a news page and you want to send an image, like save an image, the icon doesn't come up to save an image.
Yeah, so the question is when you're on any type of page and sometimes you can't get the image, it all depends on how it's embedded in there, and sometimes if it has Flash, which Flash is terrible, that's why sometimes you can't see images or videos on these devices. It's because of Flash. It's kind of a protection thing, and it's just the way they designed it, but the only thing you can do is do a screenshot. So if I wanted to do a screenshot, let me just close the reading list. There's a key combination. In fact, I'm going to show you guys a website where all these key combos are there. But if I hit Control or Command Shift 4, my cursor becomes like this, and I can take a screenshot. Or if I hit Command Control Shift 4 and do a screenshot like this, it just puts it on the clipboard, and then I could paste it in, say, a mail, let's say, new mail. There's the screenshot. That's not as good because it's not clickable. It's just like taking a camera up to your thing and doing it. So.
But it's sure quick and easy.
Yeah, so, how to get these seats, you guys can write this down. My personal very low-end website is kenspencer.com. And you'll notice I have well, first of all, under MacNexus is, I'll probably post this class there. And if you click on it, I have my previous classes. I have now, when I present to our MacNexus users group, it's usually about an hour and 10 minutes, 2 classes. So like here was Pages. I did a complete class on Pages. Part 1, Part 2, and this just links to a YouTube video. iPhone, iPad, Apple products. Forget this, how to set up Gmail and forwarding. That's for something else. Contacts and calendars, Mail and Safari. There's so much you can do in Mail. There's so much you can do in Safari. Just go through these, but what I'd like to show is this Mac Sheet right here. Click on Mac Sheet.
Where are you clicking there?
Right where it says Mac
yes.
Sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And give it a second to load.
So you wouldn't have any problems, say, with the iPad users for using this as a sample lesson?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, yeah.
No?
At some point, I might monetize it by putting ads on the side.
Okay.
But then the more people, but no, it's you know, my thing is you're going to get it raw. It's not going to be edited because if I do the editing, it's never going to make it because I'll never be happy with it. But anyway, this sheet right here, this is a great. It's 2 pages. The first one is. It actually asks you the different types of passwords you have, and it's a great sheet to fill out. And it's a simple PDF. It's loading. So there, I have a computer, like if you're customer service. If we go down here, your internet provider. Let's talk about Apple IDs. It breaks it into 3 different things. You might have one Apple ID for everything. You might have one for iCloud. You might have a different one for iTunes. My information is here. Sorry, these are the Sacramento-based Apple stores. There's AppleCare. And then for those of you with your Macs, the second page is all these keyboard shortcuts. It's just a simple PDF you can print out. Okay. So kenspencer.com is how we got there. I'll backtrack and click on Mac Sheet. Okay. How are we doing time-wise? What's your guys?
It's 20 to 3.
Okay.
That's-
Everybody good?
Anybody can get up and leave if they want to.
And we won't take it personal. Okay, a couple of things. I'm also a very frugal person. And I've come across some printing stuff now that's really pretty neat, and I'll try to post this. But I hate what it costs to print things on my home printer. And for years and years and years, I've been using just a black. I have a color printer, and usually the ink dries up because I don't use it enough because I'm too cheap to print color and a color laser is no better. But I've been printing on my black and white HP. It keeps going. The toner lasts forever. But I've come across printers now that I get, and I'll actually bring these up. I might have a listing of them. Let's see if I can pull them up. Let's see, from Ken. Had to email Mom this morning, told her I made it down here. No. So I'm just using the search in mail here for Ken Spencer sent. Here we go. So it doesn't matter how much a printer costs. It's the ink that makes a huge difference. Now, photo printers, if you're going to have a nice photo printer, the ink's pretty expensive. But that's not the printer you need when you're just printing out a website for maps to the Apple Store, right? Or a recipe. So you're using that expensive ink. Also, by the way, if you print photo paper on photo paper with the photo ink, it's cheaper if you go to Walgreens or Walmart or CVS and have them print it there, and it's better quality. But I go and there's two favorite printers I get. They both use the same ink. And you know what I'll do is I'll forward this to both of you guys right now. Let's see, message, send again. I'll get rid of all my BCCs. And Joan, which one do you want?
Joan at Joan Fire.
At Mac?
At Mac.
Okay. What's yours?
B. Hogan,
VH?
HOGGAN, gmail.com.
That way you can distribute this link that I'm going to show everybody here. Is it correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Brother makes a printer that I buy aftermarket ink cartridges for. And this is 10 cartridges for $7.15. How much per cartridge is that? Figure out 10 cartridges, $7.15 is 71.5 cents a cartridge. So I'm going to make it so you get paid to use cartridges and get paid to print. This is not a pyramid scheme. Okay. Did you know that Staples gives you $2 up to 10 cartridges a month trade-in? Yes, they'll take these. So you pay 71.5 cents a cartridge and you get $2 a cartridge. So now you're in the cartridge laundering business, okay? But it's not illegal. This ink, now, people ask me, well, Ken, you get this generic ink like that, and what happens if a cartridge is bad? Well, I'll take it to Staples and make $1.20. So what if one or two of them are bad? I don't care. But they've all been, I haven't had any trouble with them. So these fit the two brother printers I'm going to tell you about here. And the two printers I'm going to show you go on sale like every other week sometimes. The first one is a Brother J430W. And by the way, you guys just got these links. So it's using my current address, but what happens here is the Brother J530W. This printer is a Wi-Fi printer. It's normally $99. When it goes on sale, it's $60. It's a Wi-Fi printer. It has a document feeder on the top for up to 20 pages. It's got a scanner. It's a fax. I can print direct from my iPad and my iPhone to it. And it's around $60 usually, but $99. Then the other thing is if it's not on sale when you go get it, it'll be on sale within the next couple of weeks and you can go price match. But the best part is, and don't buy cables from them, don't buy anything else. You can get cables at the 99-cent dollar store if you need a USB cable, but you only need that to hook it up because it's Wi-Fi. But then you go to Amazon and go get these cartridges. And don't buy more than 10. They also sell you 24 cartridges, but my feeling is I'm going to, it's free shipping first of all, but second of all, well, that one's free shipping. I have another one here. Let's pull up. This one is, I got two different vendors I get it from. And it's not great quality ink. It does print photos okay. So see, this guy is $3.32 a cartridge, but then they're going to charge you $4 shipping. So it still works out to $7.26 for 10 cartridges. You're paying $7.26 twice, probably $14 a cartridge. So it's really, really good. Now, this other printer that I use is a little bit better than that one, and it's the MFC J825. And this one has all the same characteristics with a couple options. It does duplexing, so it'll print on both sides. It's normally $150, and when it's on sale, it goes down to $99. But the other neat thing about this is it has a special tray you can insert that allows you to print directly on CDs or DVDs. You have to buy the DVD that's the color print type, and it will print directly on it. And when you're doing your Christmas thing, if you want to do it, how first rate does that look then? So this one's about, it averages about $50 more. It's usually on sale for $99 when it goes on sale. Now, they both use the exact same ink cartridges. So I encourage you to print a lot of things in color because you wouldn't feel right taking a brand new cartridge into Staples. So you want to use up your cartridges and go make money. If you print enough, it'll pay off your printer. And you know what? The printer it's kind of a cheesy printer, and it seems to work really well. The ink cartridges replace really easily, but it just works, And I recommend buying it locally, though, because if you do have an issue with the printer, you can take it back within the first month. And realistically, if the $60 printer goes bad, that's about 3 cartridges on your other printer, so just go buy another one. But I've had no trouble with it. I have most of my clients doing these. So the two was the J430W and the 825. Again, it says DW. It does duplexing. They both do wireless. The DW does wired Ethernet also. And they'll all, of course, do USB. And they both print directly from your iPad or your iPhone, as long as you're on the same network. So that's to me, that's a huge money saver. And now the most expensive part about printing is paper, and you all know I always wait when paper goes on sale and get a couple reams of it that way. So.
Or you send it as an email.
Yep, then you don't have to print it all. But it's really hard to, well, now with Apple Maps. Okay, so let's do Siri. This is just so cool.
Yeah.